the Bitcoin technical analysis for the day. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. My name is Rocky Outcrop. I do live technical analysis on a daily working day basis here on YouTube. Come and join me again for that. And we're going to take a look at Bitcoin pricing. And we can see that there's some good positivity here on the 15-minute chart, with the possibility of us all putting on our jetpacks and taking off towards the moon. But could there be some threats lurking here on the broader time frame for us? Let's just dive straight on into the charts here and see what we can find out. Let me run the intro clip. So that's a good laugh, right? There's the intro clip. Well, here we are back in the charts, and as you can see, we've had this downward trend on the 15-minute time frame, and this is looking back, since we had this dead cat bounce drawing on the chart here. But looking back over the last few days, we've not really seen any upward side pressure. It's all kind of been towards the downside, but we do have this potential looking area here for a bottom, where if we do see this operating as a local low just at this moment in time, then of course with a green candle coming in here over the next 15 minutes to half an hour or so, perhaps we push towards the top side and set this in as being a higher low overall, with this outcome above 18,975. So pushing those 19,000 areas again, with the question of asking, are we coming in and turning things around? It would be nice to see. And then the next area up, if we do get a few consecutive highs, would be towards where we have this Fibonacci retracement point. And if I just jump up to 24-hour time frame, I can see that's coming in. Yes, indeed, that is that 236 Fibonacci, and that would undo that on the larger time frames for us and give us a bit of positivity to look forward to. However, of course, there are some negative things. If we just want to take a look first off here on the 15-minute time frame, we can see the DMI starting to have this negative aspect towards it, with the negative DI moving towards the top side, with the ADX falling along with it here above 25 and moving with a degree of momentum towards the top side. And we do have this this bottom having come in, if this is were to be a bottom, without any bullish divergence anywhere looking back along these last lows. And we can also pop in a little bit more sort of structural visual aids here to give us the sort of a bit more context as we look at this movement down the way, tracing the Bollinger Bands towards the downside. A lack of a green candle at the minute towards taking us up towards this median line here, of course, would be negative. Now, so what we really do need to see is something along the lines of what we've been talking about so far here happen at some stage along the way, whatever that happens to be for you. Then that would be cool. Could it be now? Well, we're not seeing the volume or anything like that to come in. There is this larger volume candle here, and we've not had something like back over in this period of time. So maybe, this could be considered to be stopping volume, and overall, that would be the most bullish looking aspect of this chart currently at the minute, which is of course very much stanced in a downward trend on this time frame. Building that picture then up the way, we can see that we've also been in a downward trend towards the downside here, within the structure which could ultimately be, of course, a descending triangle. The Bollinger Bands showing us that we actually also have scope for at the minute to come right down here and test this lower end of the descending triangle on the 1 hour time frame. And overall, actually, we're positioned negatively structured here, with of course negative movement on the RSI as well. So we're not seeing anything particularly positive of note here. Moving up towards the higher time frames, such as the 4 hour, we can see that we're very much positioned below that 236 that we alluded to earlier on, which is this faint line in the background, which is coming in at around about where we find the 20 moving average at the moment, giving us a bit of confidence there if we do want to try and have a movement towards the top side and reclaim any of these areas. Now, that would maybe invalidate this as being a descending triangle, or even put us in for a breakout from this move. If we do get a measured move off the back of this, then let it be said that it could be going up towards the 20,200 area and putting in all-time highs all over again. However, if we do break towards the downside, we've got the 618 coming in here around about that 7,500 to be really aware of. Looking over here towards the VPVR, you can see that it kicks back in it again around about that 7,500 zone, and maybe movements down below this is showing us that, of course, this remains as being a significant area now of liquidity as well at the top end if we were to come up and challenge those all-time highs yet again. Looking back as into the sort of the deep blue, dark, well, actually black of the space up there above us. Taking the Bollinger Bands off so we can see a bit more clearly on the chart here on the daily time frame. Let's have these sort of scaffolding marks here show us the construction work of the day. We've got an ascending, broadening wedge, which kind of overall just structures why it's working as a channel for us, I suppose, in a sense, or any sort of just idea in terms of directional movement, in terms of the trend, really, because we don't so much care about the top side of this thing. Currently, really what we're looking to is the lower side. So it's the same as whatever way you want to sort of bake those chickens. And what we have to see is if we can get towards the 75% area of this, break out of it, or else, of course, dissolve it as a pattern. I'm going to take that off the tops. Going to take the this line off the top side here and say, looking at this structurally, we need to be taking out our previous highs in terms of the bigger picture if we want to continue moving towards the top side, because we have to take into account, of course, the bearish divergence we have on the daily time frame. Whilst we've come up here and seen the volume tap out here at the top so far, and the movement down the way of the ADX crossing over the 40 line, and of course with the divergence we've happened overall there on the chart. So thanks so much for tuning in for this one, and of course if you want to see the full episode, then check out the live thing. And of course, if you're watching that right now with us, then that's cool, that's a good laugh. Let me just hit that stream marker button again and say that's the end of that section. So cool. I don't know, what did you think of that? Was that worth doing? Should I do that with the other coins of the day? And I'll just leave the chart off here on the 15-minute time frame. Say hello to everybody in the chit chat, have a wee glass of water here, and let me stick the moving averages on, so that at least there's more sort of value here in the live stream, because I didn't put them on the recorded video effort there that I'll be publishing aside from this. Now I don't know if that was worth it or not. Let's just see what people think in the chat room. As you can see, the structure here is obviously fairly negative. We could ultimately be putting in some sort of bottoming process if we get this sort of higher low coming in here and taking out these other areas. And you can think about that in any way you like, of course, until you've really pushed past the inflection sort of drop off point over here and taken out all of these moving averages and come up to test the 200 over here. Then really what you could be looking at overall is a bear flag. So I'd rather see this BART back up again in terms of this time frame. Let me just check in with the chat and see how everybody's getting along. Thanks so much for joining us here. What do we have? Scotty Sniper 93, when name changed to Rocky Jazz Hands. Scott Jones, oh nice to have you, man. It's good to see you, Scott, man. Good to have you here. Rocky knows his stuff, he is the man. Thanks so much for that. Good to see you, mate. Zoner says looks like distribution. Yeah, well, that's what it looks like when things start to go down. You're right there. TradeSpotting, I think we highlight video would be a bullet point list of important stuff across the daily and 4 hour time frames. Maybe that's what I should have done instead. Did anybody short it? Asked Susan Warrender. A little, closed at 18,700, waiting for the daily close now. Susan Warrender puts up some money bags. Wow, what happened to the voice there? Is Rocky a robot? Rocky is Johnny 5. That's correct, Susan. 127 kilobits of memory here. So yes, that's great. Yeah, we've got all the RAM and everything. So great. Okay, that'll do. I suppose we could do a quick summary in terms of the moving up the way here with Bitcoin. So a quick summary, I suppose, really 50-minute time frame. The potential for a turnaround here, but overall definitely very much bearish. Taking out our previous lows, of course, would look pretty terrible. That's the 18,000 area, and that 18,600 area. Start that again, shall we? Yeah, let's start that again. Thanks to the patience of the thingy. I'll stick another stream marker on here. Don't know how I'll do these things. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. Probably not. Right, so yeah, Bitcoin summary for everybody that's tuning in. Thanks so much for joining me. And on the 50-minute time frame, we could potentially be looking for a turnaround here if we manage to put in a local higher low overall, and then look beyond the 18,950 area up to that 19,000.